Vizsla Silver announced a preliminary economic assessments for its Pacuno project in July. CEO Michael Konnert called the results, quote, a world-class development project. Michael, congratulations on the milestone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Tell us about the highlights from the PEA, Michael.
Well, this is really an incredible project. It's one of the few silver companies and silver projects out there that has an NPV over $1.1 billion. It has a 9-month payback period, which is just incredible. The IRR at the time that we published it with the long-term silver price and gold price was about 86%. The day that we published it with spot prices, it was actually triple digits in the 100% range there with IRR. So any way you look at it, this is a very profitable, very exciting development project.
Next step is 2025, where you're working to the feasibility study.
That's right. That's our goal, is really no stopping from the PEA to the feasibility study. We did a certain level of work and detailed work and getting, actual estimates and quotes for engineering and things like this in the PEA that's far more advanced than a typical PEA. So we feel very comfortable now after seeing these outstanding results to move from PEA into feasibility sometime in the second half of next year.
How's community relations?
We're very fortunate. We love being a part of the community that we're in, the Copala Pacuno area. This is a truly a mining district. Sinaloa is an excellent place for business. We feel very at home there as well. I think contrary to popular belief, it's an excellent place, to operate as a Canadian. And, we're very glad to be part of those communities there. So we've been able to sign 30-year exploitation or production agreements with the local ejidos, all 5 of those local ejidos. Mm-hmm. And, we constantly are doing health fairs and, a lot of community outreach. So, we feel like we're really at home there.
Talk about Mexico. We had the election, so Obrador's chosen candidate did get in. I could say Mexico has been a bit of a challenge for some sections of the miners. I think the nationalization of lithium section. Are you still comfortable working in Mexico?
We certainly are. Every once in a while you'll meet with someone, there's some anecdotal chat or, this person's leaving Mexico or, this company is looking elsewhere, and that's fine. We see a very clear pathway to a very profitable mine with the Pacuno district. We see a huge amount of opportunities, and if you want to be in the silver industry, Mexico is the place to be. You have to be there. It's the world's top producer of silver. 9 of the 15 big billion-ounce districts exist in Mexico. Our quest is to become one of these billion-ounce districts and become one of the world's largest silver equivalent single asset producers with our project. So, Mexico is the place to be for that. And, Claudia, by most accounts and a lot of the feedback that we've been getting and the information that we've been getting, is much more pragmatic, much more business friendly. The incoming Secretary of Economy recently was meeting with the miners and promising that mines would get permitted if they didn't have water problems. And certainly our project, Pacuno, doesn't have water problems. It's an all underground mine. So we're very confident about the future of Mexico and silver mining in Mexico.
Tell us about the infrastructure around there.
Well, this project has incredible infrastructure. It's probably the best located, best infrastructure project that really our collective team has ever seen. It sits about 1 hour inland from the city of Mazatlan. Mazatlan's a great resort city, very safe, a lot of families there. Next to Mazatlan, there's a deep water port. There's a railway that runs north and south along the coast. And then from Mazatlan, going east to Durango City, another mining hub, which is about 3 or 4 hours away on the highway, is a high tension power line that basically crisscrosses our property alongside of the 2 highways. So when you're standing at our mill site, you look up and there's high tension power directly overhead.
Are you funded?
We are funded. We have about $40 million in cash. We don't have to go raise money right now. We also have some in the money dilutables, some warrants that should come in before the end of the year. So we're in an excellent place financially.
Michael, let's talk about broader markets. You've been in the mining industry for a while. It's been an interesting market. We've seen gold hit several all-time highs. When I look at it though, the GDX and the gold price, they're up about the same right now. How come we're not seeing any more leverage from the gold miners?
Well, there's some challenges with gold miners, and we've just gone through a cycle where we've seen cost overruns in the developers. We've seen a number of disastrous outcomes. When it comes to groups being over leveraged, as you say, and trying to build these projects without having the correct funding, or CapEx that's too much and continues to grow. So that eats away at the returns of these index baskets, and it also scares investors. It scares capital away from our industry. So I think what we're going to see is a number of consecutive quarters of the bigger companies making money, that money trickling down. We just saw, M&A in the space recently. These are all things that kind of happen naturally in a consolidating gold market, so that the best companies are left, and those companies create a lot of returns for investors, and that attracts other capital into the company. So this is all natural. Another thing that we haven't really seen is the silver price catch up to the gold price, but I think that's happening shortly as well.
Talk a bit more about the dynamics. Usually what happens with a high gold price, what we see happening with silver? Yeah,
typically what happens with a higher gold price is, you have silver lag maybe in a range between 6 to 9 months behind, and then it catches up, and eventually it outperforms on a percentage basis in terms of the growth that you see, silver to gold. So we haven't seen that yet. We've seen things similar to that happen in the past, and I think the last time that we saw something that parabolic was the days in 2020 where silver moved by dollars in a very short period of time, and if you weren't invested, you totally missed out on that move. Now that's exactly what happened in the last 3 bull markets for silver, and I suspect it's what's going to happen again.
Talk about the silver supply picture right now.
Well, it's pretty tough. If you're looking to, I guess, fill that supply deficit, it's so big. This deficit has grown by so much, and it's continued to be outstripped by further demand from solar, electrification, these applications of silver, that even us, who will likely be one of the top 5 largest silver equivalent producers in the world when we come online for the first 2 years, we're expecting to produce about 20 million ounces of silver equivalent in the first 2 years. That really is a drop in the bucket towards that deficit. So you would need, hundreds of mines like ours to come on just to catch up to that deficit. And of course, where we're seeing that deficit get filled now is with above ground stores like, investment grade silver that gets sold into the investment market and into the industrial market. That's going to run out at some point, or the price will have to go a lot higher to incentivize that.
It's been a good M&A market, as you just mentioned. So we recently saw that Anglo took out Osisko for $1.6 billion. BMO did an analysis of it, and he said the size of the transaction was a surprise. It seems that miners are more confident about doing deals.
I think so, and I saw some great research on that, talking about the great rotation now of that capital into other either permitted or near permitted development assets in Canada and in gold specifically. Now that's to say, that's a bigger landscape, and that's a landscape where you've had recent success, a lot of, like I said, quarters of good production, and the stronger gold miners are cash flowing very strong right now. That money, needs to be reinvested, and we're starting to see names like Skeena trade up recently as well on the back of this Osisko news. Now it's coming for silver, but as I said, silver seems to kind of lag 6 to 9 months behind gold, so it's a good opportunity to buy these silver development stories right now.
Does any transaction make sense for Vizsla?
At some price it may, but I think you can tell by the quality of the PEA that we put out, how serious we are on building this. It's not every day. It's very rare that you come across a project like this. We recognize the value that we have here, even on a generational scale, in terms of new discoveries and the production profile of this project. So we're not really, we're not incentivized just yet to give it up.
On silver demand, was looking through your slide deck, and it seems like a lot of the silver miners, silver developer stories, they lead with a critical middle piece first. They're talking about how many solar or the wiring that's going to be going at EVs. I was noticing in your deck that it was, how would you say, quite measured. It shows the demand for physical demand as well as what's all happening with solar and what's happening with energy transition. I guess it goes, do you have a narrative that you prefer for silver? Is it just going up, I guess, and then everything's going up?
Well, I think you're right, and that's something that all silver companies will talk about, and so you could go to our deck or you could go to any silver companies and probably get very similar information. The fact is that it's very hard to find meaningful silver projects. We have one. When you do find one, it's hard to find one that can even make money. We have what appears to be a very profitable project. So yes, we like the exposure to silver, but at the same time, 60% of our economics are silver, 40% are gold. We love gold as well as an investment thesis, and a flight to safety trade. We think that's very important. But really the merits of our project stand alone. And stand up to the test. So, we like the exposure to these metals, but we love Pacuno just as a business as a whole.
Mentioned going back, Pacuno, you were talking about growth or potential growth of the project as well. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, in the last 6 months, we've tripled the land package that we have in Sinaloa, Mexico, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier. We're very proud to be part of the mining industry in Mexico. We think it's the best place to be for silver, so we put our money where our mouth is, and we've tripled the land package. So the way that we look at growth is it starts, at Project 1. Project 1 is Copala and Pacuno, the area that we have the PEA. We think that we can find other centers of mass that can become Project 2, Project 3, Project 4, and onward within our original district, the 7,000 hectares that we originally consolidated about 5 years ago. And we're the first company to ever systematically explore that land package. Now, we've added concessions to the south, another 10,000 hectares to the south that no one's really ever explored. I don't think there's ever been a drill hole on any of that 10,000 hectares. So that's further growth outside of the proper Pacuno district. And then we were able to consolidate and acquire another, what looks like it could be a major district, 40 kilometers to the north. It actually sits equidistant between San Dimas and Pacuno, so about 40 kilometers from San Dimas and then 40 kilometers from Pacuno. There's never been a drill hole there. There's two kilometer very thick veins that run high grades of silver and gold that we've sampled when we were there. And that's how we think about the next generation of potential production there. It could be a carbon copy of either San Dimas or Pacuno. We don't know yet. We need to explore it, but that's number of years out in terms of potential upside.
So talk about the next 12 months as you work towards a feasibility study. What are going to be the milestones before you get to the big milestone? Well,
the big milestone, what we're really focused on, and really it's a dual track path here. The first is to de-risk, and then it's to explore and to grow. The de-risking all has to do with the feasibility study, with the test mine that we're undertaking towards the end of the year. Test mine will be a huge de-risking milestone. Further permitting, the big permit for the mine, we'll submit for that later this year. And then infill drilling, upgrading the resource as well. That's going to be important. Now, when all that's going, we're also going to be exploring, because we've only drilled 10% of the veins that we know about in this district. There's so much potential upside, so many more new discoveries to make out there. So I think very important that you don't mistake our move into a PEA as, okay, now they're just developing, because we have so much exploration upside.
Michael, it's been a delight following the story through all these years, and congratulations again on the milestone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
My name is Michael McRae. You're watching Kitco Mining.